What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 37. This one's pretty easy. The Dustin Fox episode.
Yeah, it's got to be.
The couch potato. There's nowhere else you can really go with 37. I tried. Thaddeus Gibson wore it for a year.
Yep.
Luke. There's some guys out there, but Dustin is doing awesome. He's been pretty quiet on the socials lately, and finally put a post up last week about he's doing sober life and killing it at it. So
that's awesome.
Kudos to him.
Absolutely.
As always, Jeremy the Couch Potato. Opposite side of the screen, we got Coach Slate, who Olentangy the Braves.
Yeah, there we go.
Still don't like to give up touchdowns. How was your week?
It was pretty good. Pretty good week, man. We got a big win on Friday. Governor DeWine was at the game, which was kind of cool. He was there. I guess his grandkids or somebody in his family goes to Thomas Worthington, and so that was cool to see. He's a real tiny guy. He's a lot smaller than I thought he was, but yeah, that was cool. Kids played well, got another shutout, and we got Marysville this week, so we got to gear up for some wing tee stuff, and they're going to play hard, and it should be a good game. But yeah, week's been good, man. How about yours?
Good, low key, very low key week. I thought maybe Governor DeWine is a listener, and he wanted to come see what all the hype was about.
Yeah.
But no, that was awesome to see. I was pretty excited when I saw that score notification pop up Friday night. While I was watching, probably the second worst. Actually, no, we're going to call it the worst end zone play since the replacement refs.
Oh gosh.
What was that? Seattle and Green Bay, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The whole premise of instant replay is indisputable video evidence. There was nothing indisputable about that video. Virginia Tech, you got hosed.
Yeah, man.
Okay, though, because Jalen Milroe is now the betting favorite to win the Heisman. Nothing against Cam Ward except you go to Miami.
Yeah.
But I still like my plus 7,500 bet on Jeremiah Smith. My $1 to become 75. Who would have ever thought that the two best receivers in the country would both be freshmen?
Ryan Williams he's special. He is special. That move that he did at the end of the game, he was like levitating in his spin move. Like I've never seen anything like that. So yeah, he's special. And we got JJ, and JJ is NFL ready right now.
The rest of the country finally is realizing what we've known.
Yeah.
And how good the kid is. I mean, as good of a weekend as it was for freshman receivers, officials, not so good. The offsides call in the Team Up North game on the onside kick.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that the meme we've all seen of referees with canes and seeing eye dogs, that was there. But yeah, what it was a good weekend for was the Buckeyes.
Yep.
38-7 went up north in Spartyville. Heard lots of good things about the Sparty faithful, which is really cool to hear in an away game, Big Ten game. So we kind of hit on it last week in our Before the Battle, what we kind of thought we would see, and we got to see a little bit of it. Little clunky in the beginning, to be expected. First road game, you've sat around all day waiting to play ball.
Yeah.
I think people underestimate the effect that can have. It's no different than the guy sitting in the tailgate lot waiting all day, except for him, the effects are he just drinks more beer and he doesn't remember the game. These guys are sitting around like caged animals, essentially. You hype yourself up to go into a game, and you're used to playing at noon and 3:30 and now 7:30.
Yeah.
Which is why, looking down the road, I'm not as concerned about Oregon as far as the time as most people, because really that kind of plays into our favor. It's a 4:30. It would be 4:30 our time.
Yeah. Yeah. And having played in college and seen, playing at noon, and eating pregame meal at 7 a.m. and having to go on the road and playing a night game or playing at 3:30, like it can have a big effect on you. And so, to see the Buckeyes gear up for their first night game of the season in a tough place that's honoring Mark D'Antonio, it was built for, a close game. And, that can really have an effect. And so I was glad to see the Buckeyes came out defensively. We'll talk about that a little bit, but, I was glad to see them come out ready to go. Offense was moving the ball well, other than some self-inflicted things. But, for the most part, man, I thought the Buckeyes handled the time difference, time change. And then, like you said, it does bode well for us against Oregon when we go to Eugene. But I'm not going to talk about Eugene because we got the Hawkeyes this week, and that is not something that should be overlooked.
No, ask Urban Meyer.
Yep.
That right there, that Iowa game ranks right there with like 2015 Michigan State as far as like games that I wasn't in junior high for.
Yeah.
So just kind of a quick, rundown. One of the things that really stood out to me, we've been kind of a quick strike offense through the year, and 35 minutes time of possession. Just again, Chip Kelly doing Chip Kelly things and showing you, hey, I'm going to do kind of what I want.
Yeah.
75 plays on 11 drives, 486 total yards, 298 passing, 3 passing TDs. Of course, everybody has seen Jeremiah's one-handed grab, both of them, actually. I thought it was interesting to see us kind of get away from the run game a little bit, though. 35 attempts, 188 yards. But that's really been the identity on offense. And we kind of got away from it.
Yeah. I going into the game, I was wanting to see us really establish a run. But the one thing that I will say is, those quick passes that we saw to Emeka and Carnell and those, RPO actions, those are just extensions of the run game. And so I definitely consider that. And to have close to 200 yards rushing in a game where, like you said, many of us believe that they kind of got away from it, that lets me know that the run game is in good hands. We struggled with it last year. We would have begged for 188 yards rushing a game. And so, to be a team that's averaging over 200 yards rushing right now, I feel pretty good about what we are doing. But, Chip Kelly, he's pretty good, man. He's definitely was in his bag and did some really good things. And, I was happy and pleased with the run game for sure.
Yeah, and I know one of the things that you had said you wanted to see was Will Howard in the run game a little bit more. And we got a little appetizer of it, nothing crazy again. And that's fine because we didn't need to. As we saw there toward the end of the first half, Will Howard got absolutely lit up. You don't want your QB getting smacked around like that.
Yeah, you definitely don't want that. But, having that +1 in the red zone is so huge. I mean, we saw it on the touchdown that he scored. I think that's where the run game for him is going to come in extremely handy for this offense. He doesn't need to be a guy that goes out there and rushes the ball 15 times. No. But when we get into the red zone, he needs to be a guy that the defense has to account for. And so seeing him get that touchdown, putting that on film, letting them know like, hey, when we get down here, this is something you're going to have to worry about. And with the way that our running backs are blocking right now, having that +1, I can't reiterate it enough. And having the backs lead up and through or doing zone read and different things like that, like it's going to make things a lot more dynamic in the red zone than people think. And so I'm excited to see that part of our offense expand as we get, more and more in the Big Ten play.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we were 3 of 4 on fourth down, like 8 of 17 on third. That's all kind of tied together, because a lot of third and fourth downs obviously are shorter yardage situations. So being able to get yards when needed, really tells you what's going on. So that's just kind of the synopsis of the offense. Obviously, as we get into other parts of the game, I'm sure we will dive into that a little bit more. Defensively, we held them to 50 plays. I would like to see how many of those were in the first half.
Yeah.
because they did not do anything in the second. 246 total yards, the bulk of which came in the first half.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there were obviously I need to stay off of Twitter or X or whatever it is because in the first half, but you might as well blow up the program. Defense is overrated
Fire
and
them
all.
all.
Yeah, defense is overrated and things like that. Listen, these are good coaches that we are going up against. Jonathan Smith is a good coach. Getting his guys ready to go for a big game, night game. Yeah, they're going to throw some things in that we are not used to. And I could tell by what we were doing defensively that Jim Knowles was going to say, Aiden Childs, beat us.
Yep.
Go beat us. And if you do, then we'll adjust and we will shut things down. But I want to see if you're able to beat us because he was only around like 55, 53% completion percentage leading up to this game. He'd thrown a ton of interceptions. And then he comes out in a big game in the first half and he's throwing some dots. He's throwing some dimes and he played well for a few of those drives. And so, the one thing I will definitely say I'm very happy about is the way that the defense took advantage of opportunities. That is the sign of a good defense. There are going to be days and games where you don't have it, that you're not shutting everybody down. You may give up over 300, 400 yards, but can you create turnovers when that happens? People don't remember or people don't think about this. When Jim Knowles first got hired, he said he was going to run the defense that was going to suit our personnel to a T. Yardage, I can tell you right now, as a defensive coordinator, I could give two you-know-whats about how many yards I give up. I don't care. I don't care about that. In the age of the game right now, offenses are they're so capable of putting up so many yards and so many points because the offense or the game is just tailored to the offense now. And so at the end of the day, if I hold you to less points than what we have, I've done my job. And so the fact that the Buckeyes held them to 7 points, their only touchdown drive came on our mistake, right? And they only had to drive 11 yards.
Yep.
The defense was able to create takeaways. They got a huge fourth down stop. Like those are the things that make defenses great. And so we need to be celebrating those things because there are going to be nights and days where we don't have it. But can we get stops? Can we find a way to manufacture stops and get the ball back to the offense? And I think the defense did that in the first half. And then the second half, Jim Knowles, he's paid a lot of money. We're going to adjust. And they did absolutely nothing in the second half. I mean, absolutely nothing. And so, was very pleased with the way the defense played. There's some things, we can talk about linebackers. But, for the most part, man, I was very pumped up. I'd love to see us being aggressive, attacking the football. An opportunistic defense is a really good defense. And so we need to make sure that we keep that, look at this thing holistically. We gave up 7 points and less than 250 yards of offense. That's good defensive play.
Yeah, 100%. It wouldn't be Ohio State, I guess, if the fan base didn't think that the world was coming to an end every time we make a mistake. Yeah. Obviously there's always things to work on. It's football. Alabama was up 30-3 and was trailing with a minute to go in the game. I mean, nobody's perfect.
Nope.
Obviously they were playing a better opponent who still looked awful though. Carson Beck, like I said a couple weeks ago, I might have to retract what I said about he's not going to cost you a game because my man looked awful for the most part in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, but you don't see other teams' fan bases so enamored with doom and gloom. So, as far as that goes, one of the other things though that really that I was glad to actually be able to see since we're kind of recording this late, snap counts are out.
Okay.
Couple of things that really jumped out. I feel like G. Scott has cemented himself as the number one tight end.
No doubt.
32 snaps, Kazmarek had 23, Bennett Christian 12, and Jelani 11. That Scott and Kazmarek number had normally been really, really close. What I thought was cool to see, though, is that they did kind of deploy Bennett Christian on some of the 2 tight end stuff.
Yeah.
Just to kind of give you a different look. Offensive line, we did still rotate Tegra and Saraveld.
Mm-hmm.
Saraveld 30 snaps, Tegra 47. And then the other thing that really jumped out to me, obviously linebacker Arvell did technically get the start,
Mm-hmm.
but only played 18 snaps, the same number as CJ Hicks.
Yeah.
And then we always talk about scheme and packages. I found it interesting that Jack and JT both play the exact same number of snaps, while Caden Curry and Kenyatta play the exact same number of snaps.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah. How many snaps did Kenyatta and Caden play?
19.
Okay. All right. That's not bad. Listen, the defensive line rotation is something that's going to have to continue, and that's
Right.
okay. I think Kenyatta and I think Caden Curry are more than capable. They would be starters on every team in the country if they didn't have, obviously JT and Jack in front of them. But I also think it's good to keep, Jack and JT hungry. Like, you got these dudes that are, nipping at your heels. They're ready to go. And when they get in, they do a really good job. They play with great effort. And I love seeing that. We highlighted some of those things last week and before the battle. Kenyatta Jackson played well, and before Caden Curry got ejected, he was probably our best defense. Yeah, he was probably our best defensive lineman. I was listening to some other podcasts and some other people talk about the defensive tackle rotation and how there are some concerns. And listen, Larry Johnson wouldn't put those guys out there if he did not believe that they were ready to go. And obviously, when you don't have Tyleik Williams, you've got to find a way to give Ty Hamilton some support. I love Caden McDonald. I think he's the third best guy that, I wish he would have gotten the start. But you have to see what you have in Tywan Malone. And we just watched Tywan Malone last week play very well. And so he earned the right to be on the field. Hero Canoe has earned the right to be on the field. And so let these dudes get in there, get some reps, and they will get better as the season progresses. There are just some concerns about that. And I don't think they've been dominant, but I'm very pleased with how these young guys have played. And it's just creating more depth. Listen, there are so many people out there who were begging for this, begging for us to create more depth on the defensive line. And now we're doing it, and we're upset about it. You're not going to replicate what Tyleik Williams does. Ty Hamilton is a great complementary player. He's not going to replicate what Tyleik Williams does. None of these guys are, and that's okay. They don't have to. They have to go out there and do their jobs. They got to be able to create penetration, and can they eat up double teams? And when it's time to make a play, can they go make it? You saw it. Caden McDonald is really good, man. Like, he's really good.
He's a tank.
Yeah, and Tywan Malone is only going to get better. He's not played much football since he's been in college. You know what I mean? And so I love the fact that we're still rotating. You didn't really see a drop off, in my opinion. And so I want to see that continue. Now, when Tyleik's back, will the rotation maybe shorten a little bit where it's just Caden McDonald and Tywan? It could. I could definitely see that, but I hope they continue to rotate on the defensive line because, these are guys that, we've been begging for them to give them reps for all these different years, and now they're doing it. So let these guys develop them. And I trust Larry Johnson to get that done.
Yeah, I think we will be just fine. Tyleik is just so different than all those other guys.
Yes.
And he's got that twitch to him. But I did think you saw at times, we saw Mitchell Melton with a sack. JTT played a lot better than he has in the last couple of weeks.
So much better.
That guy loves being under the lights.
Yeah.
So, it's just interesting to see. I mean, like we said, then obviously we'll dive into this under the good, the bad, and the ugly. But the defensive backs, I mean, BIA is back. Like
Oh, no doubt.
there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah.
I mean, and actually, we'll just use that right as the segue into the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, the good. I mean, the first thing I put down was the turnover machine defense. I mean, I honestly almost felt like I saw, I think it was Lathan, almost emulate the old Ole Miss Land Sharks. I mean, you know, because those dudes were a turnover laden defense.
Yeah.
So you saw Denzel Burke with the pick. You saw the 2 punch out fumbles, both of which were massive momentum turning plays.
Yep. And that's what playmakers do. One of my favorite college football players of all time, one of my favorite football players in general of all time is the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu.
Mm.
He was so much fun to watch because he
Yes.
was opportunistic and he was a ball hawk. Now, people think a ball hawk is just going to get interceptions, but it's when the opportunity presents itself, I can take away the ball in any fashion, whether it's punching it out, whether it's ripping it, whether it's going to get an interception. And I love the fact that our guys were taking advantage of the opportunities that were given to them. Jordan Hancock does not get enough love, in my opinion. He only played, less than 20 snaps, I believe, but he made a play based off of hustle that changed the way that the game was going to unfold. Lathan Ransom, that punch, the peanut punch is what people call it because of Peanut Tillman. Like that was that was textbook stuff. And so great defenses are able to go do that. And then the 4th down stop, shout out to Cody Simon. I mean, to be able to jump over the pile, that was shades of Landon Jones way back when against, I think it was Zanesville, jumping over the pile, getting a 4th down stop. Like that is something that I am extremely happy to see because oftentimes, we weren't in years past under Ryan Day, we're not seeing defenses go out and do that. And so now we have guys that are going to go out there and make the plays or never give up and whether it's bend but don't break and take advantage of the opportunities when they present themselves and get the 4th down stop. Like, dude, it was such good defense to see. Things to clean up for sure, but for the most part, man, the ball hawks, BIA, they're definitely back, and I love seeing it. IGB did not get a hold.
No, he did not. The next thing I had down under the good category, just in general, because obviously we know our wide receivers are talented, but those dudes were blocking their tails off on Saturday night.
Beautiful.
All of them. Emeka, Carnell, JJ. I mean, these guys were out there. And it didn't matter. You saw Carnell Tate get an early pass, trying to get something established. And again, the game started, you could tell Sparty was trying to take away JJ.
Yeah.
So we went to Emeka. Oh, look, Emeka's starting to burn us. And then what do you see? Jeremiah get, 4 or 5 grabs, almost 100 yards. The touchdown on the ground. And you just, and the running backs, as far as blocking goes, that's another thing, is so many of those big plays don't happen without a Travion Henderson blitz pickup.
Yeah.
We're not quite there yet, but he's about to enter the realm of Ezekiel Elliott when it comes to pass blocking if he keeps pass blocking this way.
Yeah, he's definitely inching closer to that. Zeke is one of the best that I've ever seen.
Oh my God, yes.
When it comes to that, but Trey is definitely making strides in that area. And I don't want to slight Quinshawn either. At the beginning of the season, that was an area that he was not doing well in, and you were seeing him pick up blitzes, and do a really good job with that on Saturday. And so I love seeing that from those guys, because it just shows how selfless the guys are. And so that is huge. And that kind of leads me to my first good. I am just extremely happy to see our quarterbacks and their mobility within the pocket.
Yeah.
I thought the offensive line did a pretty good job of creating good pockets for Will Howard. And I thought Will Howard did a really good job of maneuvering his feet and making sure that he was helping out the offensive lineman as well and not being just a statue in the pocket. And so, I love seeing that. When people think of mobile quarterbacks, they often think they're just great runners. And I think Will Howard is a pretty solid runner, but the mobility needs to come in the pocket as well. And so stepping up when we have to, escaping when we have to, creating more space and allowing the linemen to anchor their feet down, doing different things like that. It was awesome to see. On the touchdown to JJ when Devin Brown came in, that was a great pocket movement by him. He was able to step up and he was able to kind of leak out, and he threw what I thought was really the only place he could put that ball. And so that was like the one thing that really, really stood out to me. I know it's a very like a small, minute thing, but given where we have been, obviously with Kyle McCord last year and even CJ at times, CJ didn't always do a lot of movement and stuff in the pocket, but then, when we needed him to, when we're against Georgia, he did it. And so I love the fact that Will Howard is working and doing those things now. So shout out to Coach Kelly and Coach Fessler and, Coach Larkin, who are getting those guys ready, because it's evident that this is something that they really work on, and their footwork in the pocket was really good.
Yeah, for sure. I think, you are 1,000% right that there is so much more to being a mobile quarterback than, Michael Vick for 50 yards.
Yeah.
If you can extend a play and let your guy either find a hole in his zone or burn his man, that's almost better.
Yeah.
So yeah, what else do you have on the good list?
The next thing on the good list for me was our offensive line. When it came to pass protection, I was extremely pleased with that. I was also very pleased with our offensive line in the run game as well. When things weren't necessarily working the way that we thought they should, they didn't, Chip Kelly didn't abandon it. He would find a different way to do the things that we needed to do. And I think our left side of our offensive line is really freaking good. And I think our right side, although I don't think they're as good as our left, they freaking play hard, man. Josh Fryer, God love him. There are times I'm like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Like, I'm just like, dude, like, come on. But then there's other plays where he's just battling to do whatever it takes to keep Will protected. And so, I'm just very happy with this offensive line and how they're playing right now. Could it be better? Absolutely. Right. Are we going to be facing some better defensive lines? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Iowa's defense is going to be stout this week. And so the offensive line is going to have to play really well. But I'm very pleased with what I'm seeing right now, both in pass protection and in the run game as well. So I wanted to give them the big uglies. I wanted to give them some love, man. So that was definitely a part of the good for me.
Yeah, I'm starting to get almost like a slobs vibe from this group. There's not really, outside of Donovan Jackson, and Josh Simmons has came so far.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have that guy who, oh my God, he's a first round pick. Or, Donovan Jackson will be a fringe 1, or 2 pick. But it's cool to see those guys just go out and do their job. Seth McLaughlin, we had the one bad snap, and that wasn't a bad snap. That was on Will Howard.
That was on Will.
Excuse me. Now, I'm sure there are people that think it's on Seth because it's Seth.
Yeah.
But that was 100% on Will.
Seth McLaughlin is really good. Like he's really good. And so, yeah, that snap was definitely on Will. And I guarantee you Will would take the blame for that. He's got to catch that ball. But I was very happy with the offensive line, man. And I hope as the level of competition amps up, these next 2 weeks, I really hope that trend continues.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Against better competition.
Yep.
Obviously we won't dive too far into it, but Iowa is going to present a whole unique set of challenges, really on both sides of the ball. Ferentz is a lot better than people give him credit for.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's one of the best coaches in the country. You don't keep a job for that long and not be good. And you know, I mean, Iowa is going to be disciplined. They're going to be physical, and they're going to believe that they can win the game. Like they're
Yep.
not going to back down from Ohio State just because we may have some superior athletes. They're going to be coached and ready to go. And, you know, our guys are going to have to play a disciplined brand of football to go get a dub against a very tough team. So, you know, obviously we'll dive into that way more when we do the before the battle, but, you know, I think we'll be ready.
But the gray unis are going to be fire.
Yeah, they are.
You know, we could go on and on about the good things. I mean, honestly, I did not have anything else written down for the good.
Yeah.
My bads are definitely nitpicking. Well,
Yeah.
one of them is nitpicking. Will Howard decision making.
Oh gosh,
that pick was whoo. That's something that you see like a not good high school quarterback try to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get it, you know, thinking you know, we had the conversation on the one to JJ, you know, prior, where my guy's going to go make a play.
Yep.
If that ball's a little bit higher, maybe. But I get it. You know, you're feeling it. You're grooving. But like Ric Flair always said, you know, sometimes you need to hold them Gators down. But then the only other thing and I'm sure that I don't know how much of the film you got to watch yet. You've been really busy. The linebackers. It scares me to death when you find a team. Now, granted, Jim Knowles is going to have tricks up his sleeve. Yeah. But there's a weak spot in that middle of that defense, you know, especially in the pass game.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, that was, I don't like to say bad because, yeah, the coaches are trying to put these guys in the right spots, but this was needs improvement for me. And that was the linebacker play. Now, I will preface this by saying second half, we shut them down and we did so many good things. I will preface this by saying Cody Simon made a phenomenal play on fourth down. And so I think the linebackers are capable. I think the linebackers are not playing terrible by any means. I think Sonny Styles needs more reps. This is his fourth game in the box, like as a true linebacker. You know, CJ Hicks needs more reps. He has not played a ton. You know, Arvell Reese needs more reps. And I think Arvell probably is the second best, maybe the best linebacker on the field. You know, and Cody Simon. He's steady at it. You know, he's going to give us everything he's got. But there are some areas that we need to improve. And I'll be excited to see what we do coming into the bulk of this stretch that we have of some pretty tough games. But I'm not going to sit here and say we're terrible at linebacker. I think we still have a lot to work towards. But it'll be interesting to see how they approach this week with them. Will we see more blitzing from them? Will we see, you know, more Arvell Reese? Will we see backer sets? That was one thing I was shocked by with how many, you know, 3 linebacker sets we saw. If you watch the game really closely, though, there were times where Sonny was walked down on the edge and he was being a jack, which people have been clamoring for as well. And that's the other thing, too. We often forget that Sonny can be that guy as well. Yeah. You know, so I'll be interested to see how they handle those things. But, yeah, the linebacker play could see some improvement, but you know, Coach Laurinaitis, Coach Knowles, man, I got full faith in them to make sure those guys are ready to go, and you know, their chin straps will be tightened up and they'll fly around and make plays next week.
Yeah, and Sonny actually played the most snaps of any linebackers, so I think you know they understand that. And you saw CJ kind of walked out a little bit, and you got to see him blitz the one time. And I'm sure there may have been more, but the one really rings out in my head. So yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, bad wise, there's not a whole lot you can really break down in a game. You win 38-7. You hold the ball for 35 minutes and you keep your opponent under 250 yards, basically. And you know, again, nitpicking, and it's not even related to the team. As far as the ugly go, just the Peacock process, the production. I was lucky, but I got multiple texts Saturday night. Did your stream freeze? Did your stream freeze? I understand it's a work in progress though, but you would think, as long as NBC's done Notre Dame, that they would have, college football production down.
Yeah.
A lot of people ragged on Colt McCoy, but I thought Colt McCoy actually did a really good job outside of some mispronunciations.
Yeah. The Peacock experience was I'm glad we're only going to do it once. I'll just say that. I think it's, I get it. Peacock's trying to capitalize, make as much money as they can. Obviously the Big Ten and NBC have a thing now. So I get it. I get it. But, so we were in Fort Wayne this weekend. My wife and I were out there, spent some time together, and, went to support one of our friends in this big CrossFit competition. And so when we got back, I had my laptop and brought my HDMI cord because, Peacock is not going to be an app that's on the TV at the hotel. And we did not have any issues with the stream. Like the stream was solid. Maybe it got choppy at times, but that's more of an internet thing. That's not, anything Peacock can do. But, I didn't think the presentation of it was bad, but this might be our first disagreement. I thought Colt McCoy was terrible. The mispronouncing Judkins so many times and calling him Jenkins, like at some point that gets a little disrespectful.
It might be CTE.
It could be. But I just didn't think he was good. And I thought he would be better. Now, I'd have never heard him call a game. This could have been his first one that he's ever called. I'm sure he'll get better. Colt McCoy played in the NFL for a gazillion years. He was a great college quarterback, so he's got a wealth of knowledge, and he would be a great color analyst to have, you would think, in the booth. So I'm sure he's going to get better. But I was not a fan of old Colt, and I want to be because he was my guy when he was with the Browns, man. I thought he was going to be it. But yeah, I thought he was terrible.
I'm just going to put the Browns under ugly since you mentioned the Browns. Our boy BG went to Vegas to see that, and man, I haven't talked to him yet, but whew.
I don't even want to think about it.
When you are a Cleveland Brown. But honestly though,
something's going to happen.
Deshaun was the best player on the field for the Browns.
And it wasn't even close.
No.
It wasn't even close. He was, and yeah, that's another conversation for another day.
But yeah, I don't have anything else under the ugly because we try not to go there. Let's hand out some Buckeye leaves. I'm gonna try to make this a little fun today. I got an idea about 30 seconds before we started to record. So, you keep talking about the Cody Simon 4th down stop.
Yeah.
The Cody Simon 4th down stop is probably not possible without the recipient of my first Buckeye leaf.
Okay.
And that's Ty Hamilton.
Yeah, there we go.
So we're going to, he went so low.
He did.
And basically blew that play up.
He did.
Obviously the second one, I finally get to give him one, after we've talked about the kid since we started this thing. Jeremiah Smith. There's nothing we can say.
Yeah.
I mean, it as advertised.
Yeah.
I think it was Tony Girdman who tweeted, whatever we're paying Jeremiah Smith in NIL, it's not enough.
Yeah, he might be renegotiating.
Yeah. And then my third one, I hit on it, and before the battle, I thought we were going to see this dude be more aggressive. And this is what we wanted to see out of Mr. Caleb Downs.
Oh, yeah.
My man was flying out of a cannon.
Yeah.
And that's something we had not seen Knowles dial up.
Yeah.
And it came and it worked.
Yeah, absolutely. It worked. Those are good. So I had this thought on the drive home today. As I'm talking my notes, like I pulled up my notes as I'm driving and I'm yelling out my Buckeye leaves and stuff. Like for me, all right, so I everybody knows I'm a defensive guy. And so I'm gonna give Buckeye leaves to the offensive guys, but I'm gonna give silver bullets to the defensive guys.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I just feel different with this defense. And so I want to make sure that I'm highlighting some guys. So I'll start off on the offensive side of the ball. My first Buckeye leaf, shout out to Trey Henderson, man. Like selfless, you
Yes.
know, God-fearing, humble human being, the type of person you would want to date your daughter.
Yes.
Like this guy is just he's a total package. His work ethic, he's working hard to do the little things right. You can tell that he worked hard in the offseason to kind of close some of those holes that he may have had in his
Yes.
game. People talk about his vision, different things like that. Like this dude, to see him protect the quarterback the way that he did, and then get rewarded with the ball and his cuts and he's jumping over people and like
Yeah.
like that dude is the definition of a Buckeye, in my opinion. And the way that he's welcomed Quinshawn, and it's just a type of person you want leading your program. So Trey's going to get my first Buckeye leave. The second one, I gotta give love to Emeka. I this might be the second week I've done this with him, but I just love the fact that he is not deterred by JJ.
No.
Like he knows JJ is going to open up more opportunities for me. And then I get to mentor this kid. I get to help lead this kid. I get to help grow this kid. Like it just goes to show the culture of that room, what Brian Hartline's done. So that one goes to that one goes to Emeka. I'm just very pleased with him. And then my last one on offense goes to Will Howard. And the reason why it goes to Will Howard, I love the fact that he owns things. Like he doesn't shy away from it. He knows that interception was a terrible mistake,
Yeah.
but then he bounced back and did some really good things. And I just love the command he has of the offense. And I love the respect that he garners from his teammates. And I love the fact that at the end of the game, when he was talking to whoever to the media, he said, I can't wait to get out of this state. And that made my heart happy. That was awesome. That was awesome to see. Now,
Yeah.
silver bullets, okay? Silver bullets. First one, Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs reminds me so much of Bob Sanders. Like I can't even, I text that to my brother this weekend. I said, "Listen, Bob could do everything. Like he could cover, but when he rolled down into the box, like he was such a difference maker.
He was dangerous.
He was dangerous. And I see those same things with Caleb Downs. When he's in the box, when he's rolled down, he's shot out of a cannon. He goes and makes plays. I guarantee you we're going to start blitzing him too. Like there's just going to be some different things that we do with him. So he gets my first silver bullet. And the next one, Jordan Hancock. I wish he played more. I don't like taking him off the field. He is elite in the slot. He is not afraid to be in the run game. And I think this week showed like the value that he can bring to us. And I love the fact that even though he didn't get all the reps that he probably should have, he was still flying around working to make plays, gassing up his teammates and things like that. So he gets my second and final silver bullet for the week. I had Jim Knowles on there too for the second half adjustments, but I'll save that for when we shut out another team. But those are my two silver bullets, and those are my Buckeye leaves, man. I think they are well deserved, and I'm excited to see how these guys bounce back in a tough matchup this week.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm gonna give out a Sparty sticker
Ooh,
to our Morian Smith.
okay.
Um, I had heard a little bit of the story, but then when they really dove into it during the game, to be 21 years old and responsible for 5 other people, going from 19 to 2, and let alone being a college athlete, a Power 5 D1 school. I just can't even imagine.
Yeah.
So I hope that really like brings some light to that young man, and somebody give the man an NIL deal. Like,
Yeah.
I read an article on it afterwards that he granted somebody permission. I think it was the AP to come into his house, and they didn't even have a kitchen table. Like,
Wow.
yeah. Now I think there has been a GoFundMe raised. I don't know when that article I read was written. Somewhere to the tune of like $60K.
Wow.
So yeah, just shout out to that young man. Played at University of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Born and raised in Detroit. So yeah, I wanted to give him his flowers for sure.
Absolutely, man. And that's grown man stuff. And
Yeah,
that's one of the things that people sometimes overlook with sports, is the impact that it has on, you know, like think about it. He's got 5 people he's responsible for, and he's still finding time to go out there and play college football at a very high level at a well-respected program. Like to me, that just shows grit, and that's something that, should be highlighted. And those are the type of people that you want to get behind and that you root for to be successful. I don't know if he'll make it to the NFL or anything like that. I hope he does. It'd be great. But if not, like you just hope that he's able to land somewhere good and get a good job and be rewarded for stepping up and doing something like that, man. Because I got 3 kids below 7, and I can't imagine being that
yeah.
age, 23, 24, however old he is, taking care of the gosh, that's just insane.
23 was hard with one. I mean, like it's wild
Yeah.
for sure. Um, yeah. So that's kind of the award presentation part of the show. Um, I don't know if you did have is the film out yet? Have you got to watch any film?
No, I have not. And when I get off here, I'm gonna watch a few minutes of some Marysville film, and then I'm gonna sneak some Buckeye film in, and then I'm gonna hit the hay. It's been a long day. So
Yeah, it has.
uh,
It was it was kind of cool to hear you say you were in the fort. I mean,
yeah, man.
that's normally my territory. But it's a cool town. As always, we say it until we're red in the face, but thank you guys for the support. I'm kind of surprised I didn't get any text today that said, "Where's the episode?" I did get a stink eye look from somebody,
Yeah.
but shout out to obviously all the listeners, everybody that interacts with our socials, sponsors, Cornerstone Home Remodeling, the Barn Baseball and Softball Academy. Um, you know, this is fun. That's why we do it. We tell you guys that. I don't know, if you believe us, but that's what we do. Um, we haven't gotten any questions shot to us lately. I know it's kind of hard with all the game breakdowns and stuff, but if you got a question, let us know.
Yeah.
And throw us a shout out for the week. You've had a busy week. There's got to be somebody to get a shout out.
Yeah, man. So I want to give a shout out to a Marion legend, Rachel Weaver, formerly Rachel Bennett, in the Hall of Fame out at Pleasant. Just a phenomenal athlete. Went to play basketball at Kent State out of high school. We graduated the same year, 2005. We went to Fort Wayne to go support her and this big CrossFit competition where there was people from all over the country. And she just represented herself and her family so well. There was a lot of people there to support her, man. And she just went out there and she killed it, man. It was just so cool to see somebody chasing a dream, from little old Marion, Ohio. And, there's people from Cuba, from Canada, from all over the world, man. And so she went out there, she, top 5 finish out of, I think 20 or so people. And she did her thing, man. And so it was really cool. So shout out to Rachel, Marion legend. And she's still an elite athlete at however old we are now. She is an elite athlete. So I'm just proud of her, and it was fun to watch.
That's awesome. I want to shout out to all the players, the parents, and the coaches that got absolutely drenched on Friday night. Y'all are the true MVPs. I know it was a little bit different everywhere in the state, but everybody got wet. Everybody, as Thaddeus put it on Facebook, y'all cleaning them white uniforms. That I'm not jealous of that. Lots of low scoring, pretty uninteresting football games, as bad as that sounds.
Yeah. Our game, I mean, the wind was
You guys put up
over.
points. Yeah.
Yeah. The wind was like 25 plus miles an hour. It was hard to throw the ball. We were able to get some things going in the run game, but yeah, the conditions were not ideal. But this made me think of, we did the laundry when I was at Harding and Coach Hinton and everybody at Harding we always did the laundry for the kids, because we didn't trust them to take it home and bring it back.
Yep.
And so Coach Corey Chapman, I saw him today, by the way.
Oh, nice.
He was down at Olentangy. Coach Chat was our laundry guy, because he would put his foot down when people weren't, turning things in. And, whenever we played a muddy game, he had the trash bins ready to go with soap and detergent and water, so he could throw them in there and soak them. And it just brought back so many good memories, man. So yeah, shout out to all the parents that are taking care of all those things, and because it's not an easy thing to do. You guys are the real heroes.
Yeah, and Chat is him. So,
Yeah.
Shout out Chat. But I think that's all I got.
Yeah, that's all I got too, man.
All right. Well, with that said, we will see you guys later this week for Before the Battle.